All right, next we are going to hear from Mary Yacovone, curator of rare books and visual materials at the Massachusetts Historical Society. So I think I may have mentioned earlier that I only met Mary a few weeks ago, even though I feel like I've known her my entire professional career. I guess because we both work mostly indoors and not so much out in public. She's been there at the Massachusetts Historical Society since 1994, after working at the Essex Institute in Salem. And if you haven't figured this out yet, the collections that she takes care of and makes available to the public are truly amazing. So please welcome Mary Yacovone.
Boy, do I have severe institutional envy after hearing my four colleagues and all the great stuff that they have. Good afternoon. Thanks to Beth for inviting me to be here today. My name is Mary Yacovone, and as she said, I'm the curator of rare books and visual materials at the Massachusetts Historical Society. For those of you who are not familiar with the Society, we're located at 1154 Boylston Street in Boston, sandwiched between a couple of Berkeley College of Music buildings, and right across from the Muddy River in an 1899 building designed by Edmund March Wheelwright. This is our 7th home in the city, having outgrown every other building we've been in and bulging at the seams in this one. I've been at the Society for 31 years, and I'm still nowhere close to being the longest tenured employee. First is the book cataloger and picking up additional formats to catalog as the years tick by. Informally, I'm known at the Society as the curator of everything else. The Massachusetts Historical Society was founded in 1791 by Reverend Jeremy Belknap of New Hampshire and 9 kindred spirits who were afraid that the documentary history of the new nation was already being scattered to the winds. Our founding document, the circular letter on the right, sets forth our mission to collect, preserve, and communicate materials for a complete history of this country, a mission we still take seriously 235 years later. Belknap's circular also solicits donations of materials for the archive and information for the Society to publish in its publications. As the first historical society in the new nation, we collected in a wide-ranging and comprehensive way, everything from books, manuscripts, and newspapers to a very large flamingo given by William Hussey in 1793. As other libraries and museums were founded, we thankfully narrowed our focus to materials with a Massachusetts connection from any time period up to the present, which still leaves plenty of room for interpretation and collecting. Today, our collection is estimated at more than 14 million manuscript pages, including the personal papers of 3 United States presidents, John Adams, John Quincy Adams, the smiling guy, and Thomas Jefferson. And other manuscript materials ranging from diaries, letters, yes, crayon drawings, and other records of Massachusetts families and businesses, ship logs, records of organizations as wide-ranging as the Boston Anti-Manhunting League, the Women's Anti-Suffrage Association, and the Tavern Club, and church records from Old North, the Society of New Jerusalem, and many more. We're also home to thousands of books and pamphlets, from Eliot's Indian Bible, the first Bible published in British North America, to Phyllis Wheatley's poems, to modern works of scholarship, many the product of our research fellowship program, and work done by scholars in our reading room. Thanks to the efforts of voracious book collectors, including Thomas Dowse and Robert Waterston, whose libraries form part of our collection, our subject range is broad, from literature, science, and the arts, to the American imprints and historical works you would expect. We also house some 2,500 maps and atlases, from the earliest map of New England shown here, to Civil War maps, to 20th century tourist maps of Massachusetts. We hold more than 100,000 photographs, including daguerreotypes like the infamous branded hand of Captain Jonathan Walker. Walker transported 7 enslaved people and was arrested and had SS branded on his hand. A note that accompanied this photograph observed that these initials had different meanings north and south. Slave stealer in the south, slave savior in the north. The collection also includes thousands of Massachusetts views and photographs of famous and not so famous Massachusetts residents. But one of my favorites is the late 19th century rogues gallery of Massachusetts State Detective Benson Munson. It comprises more than 400 images of wanted men and contains fantastic visual and demographic information. And we've had at least one researcher come in to find his black sheep in the collection. Another favorite recent accession is the amazing collection of records and photographs from the Cotting School in Lexington, which was founded in Boston in 1893 as the Industrial School for Crippled and Deformed Children, and which is the oldest private and free day school for disabled children in North America. We have a very well-regarded collection of numismatics containing more than 7,000 medals, tokens, badges, and other materials, as well as a small but mighty collection of art and artifacts, ranging from portraits of the Founding Fathers to Cotton Mather's wristwatch and a tin lantern belonging to Paul Revere. Last but not least, there's what I call everything else, bringing us to the wealth of printed ephemera one can access at the NHS. It's fair to say that we've been collecting ephemera for as long as we've been collecting. Items come in one at a time or in collections, as gifts, as purchases, as items in a scrapbook or saved in family papers, but it's relatively recently, with the introduction of our online library catalog and website, that these materials have become more widely available and used. Since I'm the cataloger, you're going to have to go through a little bit here with me. The primary method of accessing our collection is through our library catalog, which is called Abigail. I didn't think we used the term ephemera all that much, but I guess I did. But doing a keyword search for the term in our catalog does bring up about 80 collections, including this one. Oops. Did we stop? Where am I? Sorry. Stopped advancing that. Oh, good. Let's see. I can see it here. No. Clicker. Different results. Do we have a tech guy?
Yes.
Oh, fabulous. Sorry.
Anybody good at PowerPoint?
Is it showing on the screen but not there?
It's showing on screen but not there.
crank.
Somehow I stopped the slideshow. I don't know how that happened. Anyways, we're in Abigail. We've done a search for ephemera, which I didn't think we used all that much. But we get about 80 collections using the keyword ephemera, including this one for the Herman and Mary Warner collection that has a number of different types of ephemera in it. At the bottom of the record, you'll see subject headings for each specific type of material, and I try to be generous, probably overly generous when I assign subject headings. And if you're interested in getting more specific from this record, you can click on the subject headings, which will take you to other records with that heading. You can also start your search using the specific type of ephemera. You enter such terms as a subject, whether it's menu or fan or advertising card or dance card, and this will give you the most precise results. On the results screens, if you see a subdivision specimens, like on the left, or a source that's not a Library of Congress heading, like Art and Architecture Thesaurus, that gives you an indication that you're going to be finding actual items when you click on it, as opposed to books about the type of item. The second method of finding ephemera that's buried in manuscript collections is to use our collection guide search tool. Entering the word ephemera here will get you 107 additional possibilities for places to look for. And you can also enter the specific terms here as well. My favorite slide, ephemera. What is it good for anyways? Ephemeral materials are used widely by researchers in our reading room, including by our long-term and short-term research fellows. Several years ago, a scholar mined our collection of scrapbooks for a book titled Writing with Scissors, which explored how 19th and early 20th century Americans used scrapbooks to create personal archives and form their own unwritten histories from newspaper clippings and other ephemeral materials. Last year saw two short-term fellows mining our collections of broadsides, proclamations, currency, and other paper ephemera to examine the early iconography of Native Americans. Another research fellow examined menus and cookbooks in an attempt to trace the history of mushroom culture in the early United States. And yet another scholar looked at political ephemera, including 19th century ballots, in her study of masculinity and Northern political culture in the Civil War era. When I was casting about for an idea of what to talk about here today, I visited the Ephemera Society website, which is fantastic, and came upon this quote, which really struck a chord with me. Such items, ephemera, reflect the moods and mores of past times in a way that more formal records cannot. And as I thought about the many types of ephemera in the collection, and the many ways in which we on staff use ephemera, exhibits, class visits, curriculums, blog posts, and on, I realized that this quote really distilled the importance of the work we do in preserving, describing, and making ephemera available to researchers. As just one example, I put together this brief slideshow using ephemeral materials listed on the website to illustrate the history of race in this country. So here we go. Deep breath. Ephemera in the Historical Society's collection can take you from the sole surviving copy of witchcraft judge Samuel Sewell's tract, The Selling of Joseph, published in 1700, the first anti-slavery tract published in New England, to The Last Words of Mark, a man executed in 1755 for poisoning his enslaver. A broadside that traces his early history from freedom in Barbados, to enslavement by 4 successive Bostonians, to his enticement to murder by 2 women enslaved alongside him. This single sheet of paper forms the basis of a research fellow's entire project. In the late 18-teens and early 20s, abolition broadsides mocked the mid-July celebration held by Boston's African American community to commemorate the abolition of the Atlantic slave trade. The tone is dismissive and demeaning, to say the least, but just a few years later, other Bostonians encouraged financial help for their aging street sweeper, Charles Hardy. The broadside, with his dignified portrait and Latin epigram, exhorts the reader to look upon Hardy's image and really see, maybe for the first time, the elderly African-American man who, despite his infirmities, labored hard for years to keep the streets of Boston clean and to be generous with him. In the early 1840s, as the abolitionist movement ramps up, we have a heart-wrenching image on sheet music of a child about to be sold away from his mother in front of the U.S. Capitol building. And from the next decade, one of two checks used to purchase the freedom of fugitive slave Anthony Burns. As the Civil War begins, we have sheet music depicting a Bostonian's not so warm welcome of a fugitive slave from the South, and lyrics that assert the man's regret at ever having come north. We also see exemplars of the heroism and sacrifice of Black men throughout the country fighting for their freedom. Post-war, we can go from a print glorifying the premise and the soon-to-be broken promise of Reconstruction to another piece of sheet music reflecting society's embrace of lost cause tropes just 2 decades later. Ephemera takes us all the way up to Boston's busing crisis and our current political climate. There are just so many ways in which the ephemeral materials in all of our collections can be used to enhance any research. I think you get the picture. While the Society was once seen as a stodgy and exclusive institution, a reputation we may have deserved at times, the Massachusetts Historical Society today is a vibrant institution that is open to all and committed to sharing history through programming, virtually and in person, our website, fellowships, seminars, conferences, and exhibits. We're open to the public, free of charge, 6 days a week, and all the details and so much more can be found on our website. You do not have to be a member of the Society to take advantage of our collections or programs. Should you want to do research in our library, an appointment which you can book in advance through our website is always suggested, especially in the summer when the reading room is often booked solid. When you arrive, all you'll need is a photo ID, and our helpful reference staff will introduce you to all our resources to make your research a success. If you'd just like to visit our exhibitions, the galleries are also open regular hours, 6 days a week, also free of charge. If you visit in the near future, you'll be treated to 2 really excellent exhibitions. First up, our 250th anniversary exhibition entitled 1776, Declaring Independence, which runs until mid-December. In addition to the Dunlap printing of the Declaration shown here, items as wide-ranging as Roots from the Liberty Tree, Abigail Adams's Pocket, and a pink pussy hat are used to tell the story of independence and its afterlife. I have a stack of lovely advertising cards for the exhibit available for anyone interested. In our Anne Bentley Gallery, our curator emerita has put together an amazing exhibition of aeronautical items from the collection, featuring a good helping of ephemera, along with medals, photographs, and model airplanes. Exhibits in the Bentley Gallery change every quarter or so visit now if you're an aeronautics fan. Beginning in July, in recognition of the return of the tall ships, and we'll be displaying some of our maritime treasures in the gallery. Thank you all for your attention, and we hope to see you at 1154 Boylston Street in the near future.